What's going on, guys? Dan here, DD Speed Shop. Work on the Nomad. You want to see what $2,500 looks like? This giant box. It doesn't look like it should cost that much. We've got full quarter panels, and so I already took the trim off. This side actually I think has all of it. The trim that goes there. I'm hoping, they look like they're full panels. I'm thinking I can separate it right here on this pinch weld. Looks like it kicks down and then it goes back. I'll show you after, but right down the center here is a lead seam. So it's a full quarter. Oh, it wraps right into the door jamb actually. Look at that. So we'll pull it out. Actually, I got two of them. See what these look like. They're heavy. Those cotton things, but it's just heavy. Now, I'm fighting out what I want to do with these things because leaving them out, I feel like they're going to get wrecked. So I'm thinking I might just screw them on the car. Because at least then when I knock into it, it's my own damn fault. Not something fell on it. Or something like that. How am I going to do this? But look like yeah, they should just fit right on there. So I'm probably gonna cut some stuff out, but wow, it's like an immediate change. So I'm gonna clamp this somewhere. Wow. Alright, I'm going to take the camera off the stand and we'll go a little walkthrough. Okay, so it's barely hung on. The quarter panel's kicked out a little bit, so we'll try not to breathe on it. We're jammed up against the wheel lip, so I can actually probably just get that off. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm just going to slash cut that out. Maybe cut out the fuel door so this will fit right up against there. And then we'll do a little walk around. Well, yeah, not bad. Panel's got a little bit of work, obviously, but I think what should be nice, I should be able to join it, like this is just lapping the old panel, you can see it. If I get all that cut out, I don't know what this is all about. It's got a lot of extra material in there, which is good because we were missing a bunch. We can get that all trimmed up and welded in nice. And then really, we're not going to have just a little seam right there. This will all be hidden by trim all the way till I guess probably somewhere around here-ish. And the only body we're going to have to do is this rear fin. Obviously panel stuff, I cut out some stuff, but it's all caught up on the back, so we got to take all that off. But looks like it should be a pretty good panel. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off and I'm going to cut a bunch of material out. You can clearly see on this one, like it's got a seam the whole way up, and you can see the seam, that's all lead, which runs on the factory car. So I think I'll cut on the conservative side of that. Obviously on the other side we're talking, this is the easy model side. So we want to make sure it all fits perfectly, because once you cut it out, it's hard to add it back in. So get that all chopped out, then we can get the panel all clamped on there. It should be pretty darn close. Like I said, we'll be doing a little bit of body work in there, but not too bad. I'll clean all this junk up. Now, obviously that's the fun part. Probably end of the video, I'll be putting that quarter panel, at least tacking it on. But in the meantime, while it's all off, I'll finish up. You can see the daylight through there. We got to get that all welded together, and that's all double wall stuff and whatnot. Get as much of that taken care of as we can while we're in there, because we might as well. Where that hammer is, that bottom gap there, we can get that all taken care of and weld it up, so we can get to both sides real easy. And then this, it's gonna go on fast. I love doing the metal part of it. The bodywork will be lame, but honestly, it's not too bad. If I can find a couple of good doors for this thing and a good front clip, the roof's not too bad. This one might end up in a nice, shiny coat, flat primer. Okay, I'll get cutting, and then we'll bring you back when we start. Well, I guess when we're cutting, we'll see what it looks like in the back there. In the meantime, put these back in the box and maybe put them in another garage. Okay, so honestly, I thought this would be a lot more work. Behind it would be needed, but pleasantly surprised. Steal a light here. Now that being said, this could be the good side. But so right here, I assumed it was in a whammo, which clearly it was, and then the whole way down, you can see like that's where these kind of old school drill holes in it, like put a screw in, knock it out. So they did that. It did knock in this inner wheel support, but otherwise, just a little bit down there needs to be built, which is nothing. Along the back is actually all in good shape. Like, rusty, but that's fine. Let's see if I get this light working on. Whoops. And in here, so this is the piece I put in. That's the factory tub. So obviously it's just right bucksheet it because it wasn't fitting and got cranky, but I gotta put a piece in, no big deal. The back here, it's double wall, so I've welded. You can see kind of where I've welded it, and this piece is there. It is sandwiched in this wheel well, so I'll have to zip it on both sides. That'll come out. Then I can get in. I'll do it on the inside. I'll weld it. I'll seam seal this on the outside. And it'll be no big deal. Then in here, even if the quarter panel is on, there's still lots of room to get just in this section with the wheel off. Back here is the ugly spot, because you gotta picture the quarter would be there. This is hanging there, so you can't get in there. Yeah. Straighten this out. While I'm at it, this thing has the most convoluted straps for the tailgate. I don't know if I'm gonna reuse this, because it's very expensive and stupid. At the front here, it has this piece, which should be a retractable thing, like I said, janitor keys. Obviously it's screwed up. It then runs across, joins into this cable, which has a spring on it, which is, I believe, it goes right there. This is the guide. This is the guide. Now if you look at this, picture there's a quarter panel here. The bolts go up, so you have to put a ratchet on there. From the top side, stupid light, top side down. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I had to screw around with this forever on the wagon, like the 4-door wagon I have. So I will put a wrench on those, get those all loose and easy to take apart. It then wraps around and goes out and whatever onto the tailgate. Honestly, oh god, I'm thinking a couple of standard straps on there is the way to go, because I think it was, I want to say $200 a side or $150 a side on that 4-door wagon, and I fought with it and fought with it and fought with it, and it just pissed me off to no end. So that's a ways down the road. This, you can see it has screws. It goes from the inside out, so you can get to that no problem. On the inside, it's that's a nightmare. So I think we're in pretty good shape. I'm going to slice and dice a little bit more. I did keep this kind of section. This is knocked in, but they all rot out in this area, and this is nice panel for someone to have. That side's nicer than this side, but it can be pulled out. And again, we're not cutting any more than we have to just yet. So I'm gonna get in there, cleaned up, get all the junk out of that. See if I maybe heat this up, knock it straight, because it's done. It needs nothing in there, which is fantastic. We'll work at the front a little bit. I don't know how much we're gonna do from the outside versus just doing it from the inside. We need to basically build something like this, just a lip that goes up so it has something to join to, and we're good. So yeah, this is gonna go swimmingly. I'm hoping I'll have the quarter panel kind of tacked on tonight, or tomorrow, or the day after, but it'll go on there, and I am excited. This thing's gonna go from so shitty to so nice in such a small amount of time, with a lot of money. A lot of money. Status update. I got that kind of whatever. I don't know what it's supposed to look like. If it's supposed to be flat, like it can't be flat because that hasn't been touched and that's higher than that, so it has to have some sort of an angle. We straighten it out, we widen it out, we're fine. I got this is what the piece looks like. So the cable just kind of hooks through there, but this actually has to come off so you can kind of, well, hook around, screw around. So I broke 2 bolts, but I managed to get them with a torch and heat them up and took them out. So that's still fine. I'll just need some new bolts down the road, but that's no big deal. I trimmed in the back here a little, so it's all kind of taken care of. I'll be able to weld most of it from the inside. Just the back there I'll have to weld in, which is really no big deal. A little bit of trimming. It actually works out really well. I can get it all done on the inside. And realistically, anything from like here forward, it's just with the wheel off, so it's easy to deal with. Especially because, I mean, the Nomad has the kind of radius cut. So I mean, you're not working straight in, but you're working pretty close. So, and ultimately down here, I bet it will be straight in. So that's fine. Now, I was going to start working on this. Now here's my thought process. I have to kind of do the quarter panel and the intersection at the same time to a certain extent. So I think the quarter panel has to be on. Now this has so much flex to it, obviously because it has no wheel tub. Clearly it's not lined up, like it's got quite a gap at the back here and it's just sitting on top here. Well, if I weld a piece in, I'm just guessing at how far out this has to be, right? Versus if I have the quarter panel on, then this, it's got a little rubber, this rubber molding thing. And this, I'll probably just put a piece of rubber hose or something on, like 3/8 hose. And it has to be flush up against the quarter panel. Well, I think it's best to have the quarter panel on, then I can kind of push this, give it a few tacks as to where I want it, and then I'll build the piece. And in all reality, I'm going to be plug welding it from the inside anyways there, and here I'm just welding it across. It's irrelevant what I do in the front side or the back side. So I see there's just a little bit of rot right there I got to fix as well. But I think that'll all be done from inside the car. It might be nicer to do it here, but I think the quarter panel really should be on. So I'm going to mull that over, but I'm pretty sure that's the direction I'm going to go. And in the meantime, while I'm thinking, I'm going to crank the tunes. I'm going to weld the inner tub in solid now, because we got to everything, so I can get that all in, 100% done. I can seam seal it. I will then paint up in this area, and so that's going to end up being kind of mostly covered. And then we'll leave this for last. Mostly because I don't want to do it and I want to have a quarter panel on. I think that's kind of cool. And again, because we have to, the whole thing has to come over. So I don't know, what angles and all that to weld on. So we'll do that, and then we'll come back to it. So yeah, I don't know. I might do a little bit of filming there, but ultimately I'm going to grind it all, and then we'll seam seal it, or weld it all, then we'll seam seal it. And then it should be the fun part of getting to kind of set the quarter panel on, which is a little bit nerve-wracking, because you only kind of get one chance to do it properly the first time. And then, but really a few tack bolts on there, and it's going to look like a frickin' car here in a absolute hurry. Oh, and at the front here, so this section here is sticking with the car. This section right here, it's been like torch cut off, so that all has to come off. That's the leading edge of that panel. Same down here, I'll probably just clean that all up. Roll it over and decide how much of the panel I want to keep. I'll probably clean this whole thing up. It's all ugly and gross anyways, so get it cleaned up and decide where I want to weld. And I'm sure the panel will come off on and off 18 times, see where I want to join it and all that sort of stuff. Clean it all up in here and whatnot. But yeah, that's the plan. We're making lots of progress. Okay, so we got her mostly all dialed together. That's all welded and not ground down yet, but it's all solid, so that's good. And so we still have a lot to do up top, but we'll be chopping up the wheel tubs from that delivery. Man, that thing just keeps on giving. Now under here, I did the backside from the outside, I guess, because obviously it's all kind of boxed in there. I put a coat of seam sealer on the joint, so it just has to kind of dry for an hour before I can top coat it, then we can paint all in here. I did just up until about there, well, until there, obviously not about, because this section here I'll probably be, cutting out whatever I have to do, or down here making a panel and all that. But again, this is super easy to get to, so that's the plan. Now what I'm going to do, well, that's going to dry for an hour, so I'm going to have some supper. Before I go in, charge the batteries and stuff anyways. In here, you can clearly see this is where the panels are joined the whole way. So I'm going to cut it on, you know, that side of the panel, so then I can clean that up, grind it all down, you know, peel it off like I was doing everything else. I believe they're welded, I guess they're welded from factory, like pinch weld type thing, one of those like claw things. We don't have that option. But what will allow us to do is put vice grips and stuff like that in there to kind of hold it exactly where we want. And then I will just weld it, top weld it and stuff. I guess they were welded like that, and then they must have filled it with lead or something. So basically, you know, we're cutting on this side of the line the whole way, all the way down. This will all come out. Not much there. Let's get that all off. This will probably, I might cut it up against the, I gotta do a little look and see where the panel kind of jogs over, because it does kind of go and then it jogs up in, so there's a little transition piece, which is probably right about there. So we'll have to figure that out, and I just gotta clean the jam up just a little. Then we can come back, we'll paint everything black with some, you know, converting paint, and really it's kind of done under there. Then we can put the quarter panel on. It's not gonna be finished welded, but we'll tack, you know, give it a few good tacks on there. We'll have a few screws holding it or clamps. Give it a few good welds so it's not going anywhere. If it has to come off, we'd always cut it and change or do whatever. This whole car is going to be kind of tacked, more than tacked together, but definitely if it has to come apart, it can, because it was so gutted. If it's crooked or whatever, we can figure it all out. So far, I think it's, I mean, everything's fitting. So it's either all fitting wrong and it's going to be crooked, or I must be doing something right. So yeah, we'll get that cut out, go in, have a little break, and well, back to more work. Okay, so had a little supper, got this thing back on. It's pretty close. I mean, it's the old aftermarket panels problem, so few modifications we got to do, and this is the way I think I'm going to do it. I've got this all cut the way I want, and the punches for plugs, so I got to knock that into place. I mean, that'll be fine, and then again I got it clamped underneath, but no big deal. Up here, look how much lead was in there. That's craziness. Side. So that fits good. I marked these little ribs, just a little felt marker. So those are all the same. Let's turn off this heater. Stupid heater season. Anyway, so we got that all going. This little whoop-de-doo has to be there, so that's where that's going to go. And everything looked pretty good and marked here. Now this is where things get a little panel-y, Chinesium. So the problem I'm having, the panel has to come over just a little bit. It has like just a kind of a curve in. So I cut through the little, the top piece, so it has a little bit flex, just a little, to give it out. And then this, I can't show you one-handed, but this has to be pulled out so they kind of match. I have to trim just a little bit out of this. This panel actually goes past center, so I just marked the crown, like the highest point of the panel, ran a tape line down, and I cut it. And then right around here I just kind of had it swoop over. So I'll probably have to kind of pull it out and then do a little bit of cutting in there, because that's kind of irrelevant. And again, the trim will cover a fair bit of this. I mean, this is all going to be shown, but I'm really only going to be body working from here to here, which is fine. I figured everything else will be, it's going to be what's going to be. It lines up. The wheel well looks about right. It looks goofy with these tiny little tires on them, little 14s. Nomads always look goofy, and there's no weight in it, sitting high, all that sort of stuff. So that's the progress. So now, we got it clamped into place. It's really, I don't want to cut the panel up as much as possible. I like how it's just clamped into place. I think I'll deal with everything else. What I have been doing back here, I just have a blank one of these, and you just kind of fit it in there, and essentially it overhangs just a little bit, which, my 55 did the same thing. I hated that, but that's the way it is. So essentially, I've put this in here, I'll mark it, I'll put a tack weld to hold it, and then we'll just cut the rest. At least that's what I think we're going to do. So Put the camera set up, and we'll start, I think we'll fit the back in first, because everything else fits fine. Just this one little section, and it's kind of important. This we can fix with filler, obviously, not the end of the world, as much as I'd like to metal fish it. I don't have the skills for that. And this is actually, you can see this is another seam here. So from the factory, the quarter stops here, and these, it's like a whole other section. So it's kind of pieced together. I don't know if that's a Nomad thing or what. Yeah. So anyways, I want that to look as good as possible, because this, you can't make the metal longer or shorter, whatever it is. Worst case, I can cut this section out and then move it ahead and re-weld it or do whatever I gotta do. But I'm hoping a little bit of screwing around I won't have to do that. Man, it looks good, eh? Not a piece of crap anymore. Here is my genius plan. I still have a little bit more to take off of this panel. I've got everything fit how I want it. I've got a bunch of holes punched. I just did that. Now what I'm going to do, I haven't trimmed the bottom yet, so don't focus down here, focus up here. I'm going to pull this over. The tips line up pretty close. I just got to roll this edge just a titch. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to weld it in place there. A nice ugly tack weld. Now, I've already double checked. That'll fit just fine. Now, for this edge, all it needs is something like that, and it'll bring it right into shape. So now the next thing, I have to take a little bit more material off the panel. Oh, where did I put that roll of tape? Hang on. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, obviously that's the edge, or you know, this the seam type thing, and I can see my little relief cut where the rest of the panel is. So I'm going to run this from there to there, and that'll give me my little cut. Now the panel's out here maybe a quarter or an eighth or something like that, but I'm thinking like I can just kind of squeeze her in. So, cut this real quick. And then, once I get close, I might just do like a plunge cut the whole width, even if it's not perfectly straight. Once we're welding it together, no one will know the difference except for everybody who's watching this video. There we have it. Pretty good. Line's pretty straight. It's relevant though, because the peak is where it should be. So that's good. Around here, this is the only ugly part. I gotta fill that in. I mean, we'll be able to grind that. No big deal. I just put a few plug welds on here. So we got that dialed. The next thing we're gonna do is same thing with the tape. You see how so there we go. Pretty good. Looks center-ish. Not the bottom yet, don't worry. But the line's nice. We got nice and flat. This part just, you know, here needs a little bit of love again, right? To kind of separate it, but we'll weld that in, grind it down. No one will ever know. That's the biggest section of filler we're probably gonna have to have, because this will be real easy. I gave it a few plug welds just beside the vice grips. This has some flex, so just kind of clamp it when we're 100% happy with it. This can be, you know, I'll probably put a few tacks just to hold. Again, it's still getting tacked, so we'll do that. And then in the door area, these need to be kind of knocked back just a little. A few plug welds and we're golden. But before we do that, I want to focus on this back section. Now, we have this overlap, right? So you got to put this where we want it. See how much we're overlapping, and we'll do the same thing. We're on a piece of tape down, cut it, butt it, weld it, and that's it. And again, we'll just keep double checking with this. But this one's actually pretty easy because we'll get this in there. We'll get that in there where I want it, and then if you just take a pair of vice grips, and I'll actually clamp that, then it's easy to cut the rest. And that's just the last little bit we'll do. So that's the plan. And this here, if we put it back up, all I do is I cut it out and it's automatically touching that little brace. So it's pretty close enough anyways. I mean, let's be honest, I don't think the quality control in 1955 was that great. So some hillbilly Canadian in his garage doing it's probably about the same as the dropout doing it on a Friday afternoon to go party with his buddies, right? Look at that. It's not bad. So this is one of them. The panel is expensive. I mean, it's a lot of money. This is like a $1,200 panel or whatever. But it's going to save me all sorts of time and body work. I'm only going to have the body work this section right here, then along the back, and then right here. Which this was just loaded with filler, so I'm not too worried about it. You can really see how the door is kind of KO'd because this is actually pretty good. I didn't do the rocker yet, so I will have to slit that and butt those up so it's sticking out just a little, but not too bad. In the jam, I got it all in there. I just put a few tacks. I didn't use my plug welds. I knocked it in, so it's pretty close. Needs a little bit more at the bottom, but again, with the rocker being there, it is what it is. But that fits pretty good, and I'm happy with that door gap for what we got for this mangled up door. Everything else, like I said, so all those plug welds are going to be hidden under this trim, so that's great. This is my little cut I have to do, so I welded that up. It looks, whatever, that's a little bit of body work. And then around back here, it turned out really good. I'm happy with it. I think it's needs a little bit, I got to get like a roll lock in there and clean up in there, but the housing fits, everything is fine. The only thing that kind of is lame right now is the back of the thing, the quarter sticks out, so it's got a lot of flex to it. On the sedan delivery, this one might have had too. There's literally just a tab welded from the inner wheel well to the inner side of the quarter panel. So I guess just kind of pull it where you want, weld it, and it'll be fine. I got to transfer over the fuel door stuff because there's a little bit of mechanism from the old car. It was actually pretty rotten, so I might have to find another one. But I'm super excited about this. We'll get started on the other one tomorrow. That's where we're leaving this video. And tomorrow we can do the same thing all over again. And I think I'm going to go a little more in depth because I learned a lot doing this. And I think don't be scared. Buy the expensive panel. Just take your time and cut slowly. It's only metal. You can weld it back together. Thank you very much for watching. And leave a comment about how I did it wrong, because I'm sure someone knows better than I do. But from there, it looks good to me. Thanks. See you in the next video.